The protection of territorial integrity is the pride of every nation on earth. Welcome to the program Diplomatic Talk with Hardball Media TV, where we give you an in-depth analysis and discussion on global affairs ranging from politics, security, and social economic matters. I am Lazarus Joshua. And on today's program, I have a guest here with me who is going to be sharing his perspective, opinion, and also suggest possible solution using the realist and idealist school of thought to analyze Israel-Palestinian contemporary conflict despite ceasefire agreement between the two blocks. In person of King Johnson Joseph, who I describe as, or I call him, diplomat in the making. Good to have you, Mr. King Johnson Joseph. To begin with, what is your general overview of the term realism and idealism?
Thank you very much for that question. Thank you for having me here. Once again, my name is King Johnson. I appreciate being here. To answer your question, idealism or realism with idealism, liberalism, realism. These are terms that are used to describe certain both behaviors and also certain ways by which international relations is conducted in the international community, and also how the international system is being run. For example, now, if we were to understand what realism means, we would need to understand that realism is uh, a political ideology that focuses on the dark side of human nature. That is the dark side that has to do with wickedness, power hungry, and the man is British. We have Morgan Tor to be one of those scholars who were pivotal in propounding the theories of realism, while liberalism or idealism focuses on the bright side of human nature, whereby it aims at fostering issues like ideas, issues like values, and corporations, democracy, among other things, to drive how international relationship can be done. And when we talk about international relationship, we are trying to say how that one nation engages with another nation. It could be political, it could be military, where we will talk about war. It could also be on economical platform where the two nations engage in bilateral or three or more nations multilateral relationship. This term now will help us understand how and why a relationship is done the way it is done in the international community.
So, from what you've said, can we look at the Israel and Palestinian war from the realist perspective or from the idealist perspective?
Thank you also for that question. Looking at the Israel-Palestine war, you would understand that it is more realist than it is an idealist war. You understand me?
Wow.
And it is more realist because the claim, right, for the so-called war is to remove Israel from the Middle East, or that Israel was fighting or occupying lands illegally and all of that. But if you look at it carefully, you will discover that the war does not aim at that. The war begin to look like a contest for power and dominance in the Middle East. And this contest and power for dominance has to do with both military and the formation of allies with the international community. You understand me now? So let's take, for example, now the October 7 attack. You know, the Hamas, in my own school of thought now, in the Hamas attacked Israel, took captives because they wanted Israel to free their land, so to say, right? But
Exactly.
if Israel occupied West Bank using the push and occupy method, these people came in and broke in, burnt houses, killed over 1,000 people who were partying, took hostages with them back. How is that a fight for releasing of land?
Wow, this is deep.
It has nothing to do with releasing of land exactly, because Israel is considered one of the most militarily advanced countries in the world, and so you hear the international community saying that that attack was a big slap to country like
So, do
Israel.
you see it as an arm raising?
Well, yes, it's more or less an arm contest. More so, if you look at the examples where Iran launched out missiles to Israel, you will discover that Israel mocked the military arsenals of Iran. And when Israel retaliated, the Iranians said that the missiles from Israel was a baby, what they give their children like toys, that it was nothing. So it was more like a military conquest. Now, the most recent post on the X handle of Khamenei states that both, although in my school of thought, both Israel and Hamas didn't win, but you will see the statement from the leader of Hamas, sorry, Iran, now saying that the Western world have seen the dominance of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You
Okay.
understand me? And because they have refused to consent and to bow and something like that in nature. So you will discover that they are not fighting for a land exactly. It's a fight for who is dominant in the Middle East.
Wow. Wow. So from all you've said and you've given explanation, is there any history dates back to ages AD, BCs that brings down to the present days?
Well, thank you for very much for that question. We would understand that the war between Palestine and Israel today is not a war that started today. This war dates back to 1892 during the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. And after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Zionists all around the world began to make move that they should go back to their land. And it became more serious after the Second World War. You understand me? Now, it was brought before the United Nations in that period, and the Palestinian people suggested that Israel should be taken to Ethiopia, but Israel insisted that they had a land in the Middle East and Jerusalem. From now, they began to make their mapping out from Jerusalem.
Do they truly have a land from what they said?
Now, if you ask me, I would have to go back to religious perspective right now and
Okay.
historical perspective.
Okay.
Now, during the days of King Jehoiakim in the Bible, one of the generals of Nebuchadnezzar came to visit him, and he took him and he showed him all the gold of the house of God. And Isaiah in Isaiah 38 came and talked with King Jehoiakim and asked him, why would he bring such a people into the house of God? You understand me? And he said that he has brought the enemy, and the Babylonians invaded them and took captives of the Jewish people.
Okay.
After taking them captive, they didn't return to their land.
This is interesting.
They went, the Roman Empire waged a war on the Middle East and took over the Middle East, and then named the whole axis, that's present day Israel, West Bank, Gaza Strip, some part of Judah. He called them Palestine. And the word Palestine was coined out of a root word, Philistia, because in those days there was nothing like Palestine. What they had there was Philistine. And the constant contest between the Philistines and the Israelites is always a contest of who is dominant in that region.
Territory.
Yes, in that particular region and or territory. Now, following the invasion of the Roman Empire, they took more Jews to Europe. From Europe, they went to America. You understand me? And this made the presence of Jews very scarce in the Middle East, thereby allowing other extensions to come into the before or the then known geographical location of present day Israel to occupy there, and then they now call it their land now. And this is dated several hundred years back. You understand me? Now, when the Ottoman Empire came into power, the Western world could not establish their powers in the Middle East, their dominance in the Middle East, because it's a strategic point for world politics. You understand me? And since they couldn't establish that, countries like France, Belgium, and Great Britain, they could not because of the naval strength of the Ottoman Empire. But since its collapse in 1892 and its disbandment in 1914 to 1918 First World War, remember that the First World War was a war to end all wars. You understand me? Now, this war ended them, broke the power of the Ottoman Empire, and the Palestinian people had their land. The Jewish people didn't have a land anymore because they were taken captive into this place. Now, by folklore and folk and tales, this present day Jews, as at the time rather, now discover that okay, our forefathers have taught us that there is a land for us in the Middle East. We are from the Middle East and all of that, and so they began to make move to come back to their land. Secondly, if Isaac and Ishmael are the children of Canaan, sorry, Abraham rather, and Abraham is from the land of Canaan, from the city of Luz, then I believe that the children of Jews also are from the Middle East and a have a land in the Middle East. Now, it is recorded in the Quran and in the Bible that Moses saved these people out of Egypt into a land, into the land. In Quran, however, it was recorded that Moses never accomplished it. Same thing in the Bible, Moses never got to the promised land, but Joshua accomplished that vision, and they came in and they took over the cities that God gave them. That was their promise, and they took over the cities, and they destroyed cities like the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Havites, and the rest. In fact, the Zubaims, the Agagites, all of these people were the people that they had to wrestle in order for them to take
To regain
over,
back the
yes, to
land.
regain their land, because the burial place of Sarah was in the land of Canaan. The burial place of Abraham was in the land of Canaan. You understand me? So they were not exactly strangers. They only came back after their migration to Egypt because of the famine. They actually just came back to reclaim what was rightfully theirs.
So let's fast forward to 1948 with
Yes.
the declaration of Israel as a sovereign country
Yeah.
without looking at the Palestinian side of giving them territory. What do you look at it from the legal aspect using the idealist system?
Thank you very much for that question. Looking at it from the idealist system, right? You discover that the United Nations, as at the time, didn't consult or didn't pay attention. Now, the Security Council majorly didn't pay attention to what the Palestinians wanted, and or even the Arab League wanted. You understand me? And this, I would say, in my own observation, right, that it is because of their differentials when it comes to religion. Religion played a vital role to keep these people divided and apart.
Okay.
We all know that the Middle East is dominantly Muslim, and the Jews are dominantly Zionist. They are not Christians, they are dominantly Zion.
Judaism.
Yes, they practice their religion called Judaism. You understand me? Both have books that speaks of a prophecy concerning the land. You understand me? Both have books that speaks expressly concerning the land. For example, now I wrote down something here because I'm not a Muslim, so forgive me, audience, if I say anything that is not correct. Consider me somebody ignorant. But from my research, from the Quran, Surah Israel, chapter 17, from verse 5, I'm abridging now. I'm not quoting the whole Quran. It says that the land will be taken away from the Israelites. You understand me? This taking away, don't you see that after that the Roman Empire invaded them, the land was taken away from them because they left their land. They were taken captives. So the land became vacant and other people came in and stayed inside. That's like a fulfillment of the prophecy. And now they are coming back to claim a land that has been taken away. We will not accept it. You understand me? Secondly, Surah Al Anbiya, chapter 21, verse 106 to 108, he said that the righteous servant of Allah, I'm also abridging now, I'm not saying the whole chapter, that the righteous servant of Allah will inherit the land of Israel, and that their stay in Israel, in the land of present day Israel now, is not permanent. Do you understand me? Now, it looked as if that prophecy came to pass. I do not say anything here for controversy, you get me? But it looks as if that prophecy came to pass after that these two nations came and took them captive. Their stay was shortened because they were taken captive. You understand me? Their stay was shortened. The children of the righteous servants of Allah now, according to Islam, took over the land, and then now these people are coming back to fight. So it is like they want to fight prophecy. You understand me?
Okay.
Using the religious perspective under idealism now. They want to use religious, and then these people would refuse. You understand me? If not, two-state solution would have been good with right political power in place in the Palestine. You understand me? Two-state solution would have been a better solution with right political power. But so far, so good. It the stand on Israel has been off and on concerning two-state solution.
So this two-state solution that has been blocked by powers such as USA, France, and Great Britain, don't you see it as a political movement or political interest?
Yes, we could say that's a political interest, And we could say that is not exactly a political interest.
Okay.
Now, if America, country like America, France, and the Great Britain want to establish a diplomatic relations based on her foreign policy, whether economically, politically, and otherwise, with any of the people in the Middle East, she has the right.